For everyone that has crapped on SVG coming out of North Wilkesboro this weekend, some will say that he has arrived. Some will say that he has had his coming out party in terms of an oval racer. And the stats are there for certain, right? North Wilkesboro, he ran the truck race on Saturday. I'll get to that in a minute. There was a problem that NASCAR is going to have to address. But SVG goes out there. He finishes third in the truck race. Pretty damn impressive. It's a truck race. Okay, let's calm down for a second. It is a truck race, but it was a loaded truck race, right? You had Seabell out there. You had Chase Elliott out there. You had Hosevar out there. You had a couple other ones out there that went out there. So it was a loaded race. It wasn't like they were running Lime Rock or, some track where there was no top tier competition. But at the same time, it is the trucks, okay? Because there's a giant jump between trucks and Xfinity or O'Reilly's, if you will. And obviously from truck to cup is a massive jump. Okay. So some could say limit the hype on that. Now Sunday's race, North Wilkesboro Cup race, which I felt like took forever to get through, but hey, 400 and some odd laps. He goes out there and he finishes fifth. And he actually leads laps. He led 49 laps, a major accomplishment for SVG. But more importantly, a massive accomplishment for Trackhouse. Like, that performance was not a Trackhouse performance. I don't remember where Connor Zillage finished, but it was in the very back. Ross, he was a lap or two down, finishing in the 20th area. That's at least where he ran the majority of the night. SVG went out there and showed that he can do it. And you have to give him credit for that. And this is coming from a guy who is not a massive SVG fan. I still stand by he's very talented because at this level, whether it's road courses or super speedways or short tracks or mile and a half, I don't give a shit. Wherever you run, if you can run with the best of the best, whether it's 15th or 20th or 25th, you're among the top 25, 20th, 15th best drivers on the planet in terms of what I think is the hardest car to drive in all of motorsports. It's the most various types of racetracks that you have to go and run at. And up to this point, the narrative with SVG has been he can only run well or good or great or excellent or have actual opportunities to go out there, shine, and get a win when it's only at road courses because of his track record, because of his background, because of the way that he has come up through the motorsports ranks and his motorsports career. When he goes into a road course, the stats are behind him. He just goes out there and wins. And if he doesn't win, it's not because of something he did most likely. It's either he got caught up on a track incident or there was a pit road incident or there was a pit strategy incident, something like that, right? And you look at what he has done in recent weeks, Atlanta, him showing up, right? You got to give him a credit on that. He's been able to really step up. And you've heard this chatter where SVG's getting better. He's getting better. And that narrative is true. Like, I'm not the biggest SVG fan in the world. I do think this is somewhat of a fad going on. I think Trackhouse is also a fad going on, and you can see how that fad is slowly starting to decline a little bit, right? I think Ross Chastain's a terrific driver, but I also don't think he's in the equipment that he can go out there and excel at. I think Connor Zillage he has the potential to be a generational type talent. I don't think he has the car there, because if you are a driver and you go and you run for a different team in a different series and you're absolutely dominant, or you're a top 5 or a top 10 driver, yet you don't do that on Sundays, but you've had past success, if your entire organization is struggling, maybe it's not a you problem, maybe it's an organization problem. With SVG, he figured out that low line around North Wilkesboro, and he found it. And for the most part, outside of the latter part of the race, he stuck with it. And so him sticking with it is something that is impressive because he realized, oh, I have an advantage here. I'm going to stick with this advantage and I'm going to capitalize on this advantage. And at a racetrack that is very, very difficult, short track racing is some of the most difficult racing you can do on the planet because it all comes down to car control, not necessarily just flat out speed and not lifting, right? He figured out a way to get around that racetrack, and he was fifth on the leaderboard in terms of that checkered flag waving. So clearly he did something right. Can he sustain this type of momentum? That is the question. I'm okay if you want to give him flowers. Give him his damn flowers. Get him a bouquet at this point. But I also think you need to temper your expectations just a little bit. Like, let's not crown him a championship contender, right? I don't think he's a championship contender. But is he getting better? 1,000%. And I think you're naive if you don't think he's getting a little bit better. But is he, as much as we all want to hype it as, or at least the media wants to hype it as, or the broadcast wants to hype it as, I wouldn't go that far. So let's see how he finishes out 2026. And then I think you can get a real assessment of where he's going in 2027. But if you're Trackhouse and you're that organization, and if you are his sponsors and your SVG, I think you have to have a lot of confidence of, okay, he's starting to learn this and he's starting to pick it up. And that's something that you can build on. And I think when you go to technical racetracks, whether it's short tracks, whether it's road courses, and you're able to drive above your equipment, I think that is a great sign from a driver's vantage point, right? Because mile and a half, you have to have speed, right? If you don't have the speed, well, then you're limited right off the bat, right? Short tracks, road courses with technique, with different ways of setting up things, you can overcome those a little bit because it's more technical, right? He's starting to shine and he's starting to show that he does have that technical ability. And I think for the most part, if you're a owner and if you're sponsors and if you're a crew chief, you would rather have someone who has technical ability and being able to overcome situations that maybe your car is not necessarily the greatest, but they're able to overcome it. And maybe you take a 20th place car or a 25th place car and you can, exceed 5, 10 positions. That's what you want, right? That's what you want. So hat tip to him, props to him. He does deserve his flowers this morning. And we'll see where he goes for the remainder of the year, because I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see how he's able to progress and how he's able to get through things and see what he does the rest of the year. But I think you have to be extremely happy if you're SVG waking up this morning.